I'm super excited because I was out shopping and I came across this book. Isn't it pretty? I'm gonna make a junk journal for myself out of it. I'll make it together with you guys. So here's the cover of the book. I don't know if you can tell, it's got puffy paint on it. And here's the back. Looks good except for that little barcode in the corner. So here we're just flipping through some of the pages because part of the reason why I like this book is the really neat illustrations. Some of them are full page, like that one there and that one. Some of them are just little illustrations I can cut out. It's really fun because I can use this to decorate my junk journal. I can make tuck spots with them. I can make journaling cards. I really like the art in this book. Ooh, we have a key. More to come on keys later. So now I'm just going to clean this book off. I'm just using a baby wipe. I just want to have it clean, seeing how I did get it at the thrift store. Now I'm going to cut these pages out because I just want to have the cover for my journal, the pages I'm going to use. Now, when you're looking to alter a book for a junk journal, you want one that has this little gap. See how I'm showing you that like green ribbon in that gap? Because that makes it easier to cut the pages out. You can pull that whole section out like a block. If you watch here, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm just using an X-Acto knife. Originally, I was going to, spoiler alert, I was going to try to use the original spine, but I accidentally cut through it. So if you're doing this, be real careful when you're cutting. Go real light. Make several light passes rather than trying to punch through it in one shot like I did. Now you see, it comes right out in one big chunk like that. So that's how it comes out, nice and easy. Now I'm gonna clean up the spine area because remember I accidentally cut through it, so now I need to cut it out. So I'm just using a pair of scissors, and then I'm gonna make sure after I cut the spine out that I cut it real clean on the sides, because I don't want a lumpy bumpy spine. I'm gonna have to cover this with fabric. So I'll give it another little trim. See, I want that to be totally flush right there. totally equal. I'm lining it up to make sure it's equal. And now I'm working on creating the new spine. So I just have a piece of cardboard that's about the same thickness as my front cover. And I'm going to measure it out and cut it. I'm going to do about 2 inches for the spine, 2 inches thick. This is almost the right length. It's just a sliver I need to cut off the bottom. So I'm lining it up on the cover so I can get it exact without having to measure. And I'm just going to mark that out with a pencil, and then I'll cut that off. Now, remember I said we'll get back to the keys? Well, here we are. I'm taking a break from working on the spine because I was anxious to do some fun stuff. So these are some of the embellishments that I'm going to use. Decorations for my junk journal. I'm trying to pick out what would be the best colors and what items I would like. Now these keys are flat on the back, so they can be affixed right to the cover. I also have keys that are 2-sided or 3-dimensional. They can hang from the spine. I like these keys. You know, you gotta have a key if you're gonna have a secret garden. So we're going to pick which key we like. I'm going to go through a bunch of them and then we'll come up with the key that we're going to use. That one looked like Mickey Mouse. What else do we have? This is some sort of a flat back jewel. I'm not going to use that. What's next? Maybe that one. How about the owl one? No, not that one. This is one of my favorite things when I'm making a junk journal, picking all the little fun extras that go into it. So I like to spend a lot of time looking at everything and seeing what goes with it. I like this key draw. It's always one of my favorites. I also like to pick the papers that go in it. That will be the next episode, so stay tuned. Subscribe if you want to be notified when my next video comes up, which will be choosing the papers. But for now, we're just going to pick some more of these embellishments. We'll decide what one we like best. I'm testing it against the cover. I'm not sure what these little doodads here are, but they're flat backed and I'm gonna use them somehow because they match the colors of what I'm gonna use. So now we're about to narrow it down to exactly which keys we're going to choose. These are corner protectors. I don't use them on every junk journal that I make, but this one's for myself and I want it to be fancy. I'm going to use 4 of them, one on every corner, front and back. Okay, so I've decided what ones I'm going to use. These are the pieces I've chosen. And in my little container they go, so I'll have them when I need them. Now this is the fabric that I'm going to use over that spine that you saw me cut out earlier. I love it because it matches. Okay, so I'm getting ready to work on the spine now. Now this is where I make a mistake. I could have just deleted it and not showed you guys, but I make a mistake here. So what I'm doing is I have my awl. That's what I use to poke a hole. That's the cardboard piece I'm using for the spine. And I have a little clip, a little fastener with a, I don't know what you would call it, a little hook thing on the side that I want to go on the spine so I can have dangles. So I need to get a hole in the spine here. So I'm just measuring it where I want to put that fastener. But I really don't need to do it at this point. I'm doing it at the wrong time, but it's okay. It all works out. So I'm measuring out where I'm going to put the fastener, and then I'm going to attach the fastener, and then later you'll see me take the fastener out again and put it back in again. So I'm doing it at the wrong time, but the procedure is still the same. Okay, so we're gonna line up the cardboard piece, which will be the new spine. And I'm using my cutting board because I have a nice flat edge on the top because I want this to be perfectly even. If it's not even, then the book's gonna be crooked and it won't stand up on its own. Now, a little trick here is you need to leave a little space between your covers and the spine so that you're able to fold it, right? So I'm putting some wooden skewers, like the kind you would get from the grocery store if you were gonna have a kebab. I'm putting that in between the cover and the cardboard piece, and I'm lightly taping them down on one side with masking tape. You could use painter's tape as well, something that's easy to take back off that won't peel things up. So I'm putting that tape on there. I'm not pressing hard. I want to be very light because I'm going to peel the tape back up. I'm just using that to give me a spacer. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to cover the spine with bookbinding tape. It looks like regular tape. It looks like a kind of like duct tape, but it has fibers in it. You can get it on Amazon. It's just called bookbinding tape. And my spine is 2 inches wide here, so I'm going to need a couple of pieces of tape to go over that. And I just cut it a little bit, then I just tear it. It tears really easy. You want it to be on there nice and smooth. You don't want it to be bumpy because we're going to put that fabric over it, and we want everything to look nice. So both sides get the tape, both the back and the front. So I'm going to flip it over here, and you can see that I have a perfectly spaced little space, a perfectly spaced space in between the cover pieces and the spine. So I'm just going to fold that excess tape over on the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to attach some more bookbinding tape on this inside part because we want to reinforce this. Imagine doing all this work and our spine falls apart. That would be horrible. So this time I'm not going to fold it over because, again, I want it to be nice and flat on the other side where I attach the fabric. Now here I go again. I'm working on that spot for my little ring that's going to hold my dangles on the spine. And this also is not the correct time to do that. Because if I was to put the ring in now, then it would be covered up by the fabric. So I don't know what I was thinking, but I was in a rush to get this ring on here. You can see that. So I was just gonna peel the tape off and try to stick it back on there at the wrong time for the second time. What?
You don't know what you're doing, and you gotta tighten it like this. It just don't over tighten it.
And leak free. Nice. Thread tape isn't gonna do you. It must have been days down there. It was screaming and swearing, and I just threw it on there and tightened it up, and just hand tight. So very like you don't think it's tight, you know. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a black ball. It's like never changed since the day we put it in. You know, that doesn't make no difference. It's blowing apart from there. No.
So I'm getting ready to put that fabric over my spine, and I'm measuring it out here because I want the fabric to be a little bit wider than the spine and the tape that was overlapping the spine, because we don't want to see that. We only want to see the fabric and the cover of the book. So I'm going to measure that out, have it be a little bit wider, and then I'm just going to glue that on there. What?
You gotta know what you're doing, and you gotta tighten it like this. It just don't over tighten it.
Now you see, this is where you can notice. See that little brad with the hook that I put on the spine? Now you know that I put it on at the wrong time, because I need to put that on after the fabric is on. I don't want the fabric to cover it, so I'm gonna have to adjust that once again. Now here I'm just checking to see what parts of the fabric I want to use, because it was a little bit longer than what I needed, and I want to put the fabric on the inside and the outside this time. Sometimes if I don't have a lot of fabric, I just have it on the outside, but I wanted to be extra fancy this time and run the fabric through all the way around the spine so I could see it in between my signatures when I'm working in the journal. Now these are the tools, I'm getting them out, the tools that I'm going to use. That first one was just a clothing tag. I used that to smooth out the glue, because we don't want any lumps and bumps with the glue, or else it'll go through the fabric if we have too much, and you'll be able to see it. It'll like stain the fabric. We want it to be nice and smooth. Now I'm going to lay the fabric out, and I'm going to smooth it, make it nice and flat and even. See how I'm pressing it down there? And then I use my tools to get it into the little divots, like the space that we left around the spine. And then I fold it over on the other side, and I do the same thing. I'm using that fabric tacky glue, and I'm also going to spread that out thin with the clothing tag, and then I'm going to run a paintbrush over it to get it nice and even. Now I'm taking my smaller paintbrush and I'm going to get just along the edges of the fabric. So I want a nice small paintbrush that can fit in there because I want it glued down securely, but I don't want my paint to slop out beyond the width of the fabric because I don't want it to look shiny on the cover. My cover is matte right there, but I want to make sure I get it glued down good so I don't have a lot of fraying and things like that. So I'm just doing the edges, just the overlap part of the fabric here. Welcome to my ribbon drawer. This is where I keep my scraps of ribbon. And I want to have a trim along that raw edge of the fabric that I use, so I'm trying to pick something that will match with it well. Now this is my lace drawer. This is the drawer where I keep my lace. What would be better, trim with ribbon or trim with lace? I'm not sure, maybe both. All right, now this is another fun part. I like this part. This is where I'm just gonna lay the trim pieces out that I liked and see which one looks best. So we're testing. We're testing all the different styles of everything and see what we end up with here. Okay, I'm starting to come to a decision. It's between these two, but I can't decide which one. Tell me in the comments which trim you like best. I just can't decide. I'll see you next time when we work on choosing the papers.